All right, woo! There is the juice. How you doing, Juice? Good evening to you. Welcome to Calexico, California, across the border from Mexicali. Here, got that. Elvis here.
Yeah, good evening, everybody.
We made it over the hill again with no incidents.
Well, this was a much more dangerous, perilous journey because with the combination of the downhill going down from 4,200 feet, and then the curves, and then the elevation, dangerous drop-offs, with winds at least, I'm not telling you, this is her
45-mile-an-hour wind.
easily, I would say 40, 45, but gusts up to 60. Easily. I've been in thunderstorms. And those gusts were hurricane force. I'm not kidding you. It could have been 60 to 75 miles an hour.
We came over 4,400 feet at the Acorn. It was 55 degrees. The Acorn Casino.
Yeah.
You loved it up there because of the cherry boondocking, 72 hours boondocking with no issue at all. But the whole weather situation changed dramatically, and when we got near El Centro, all of a sudden up in the mountain, I thought he was going over in the Lisa Marie. We caught a gust going on there. I swerved hard and had to recover, and his camper van, which I was following, was as pitched over as I've ever seen it, and you had to kind of fight the wheel back to get control.
Yeah.
Were you expecting those winds when you came down there?
Well, I expect winds more when I was going through Arizona or maybe Texas and the plains, those kind of winds. But when you have those kind of winds on a mountain, and it'll push you towards the next lane towards you. It'll push you towards the mountain. The worst case scenario,
a huge drop off.
It'll push you towards the drop off. And
if you roll down that, there's no, you got 1,000-foot drop off on the hill.
well, it starts off at 4.
Hi, Vicky. I was scared.
It was really scary and terrifying. I would say that.
Hey, Matt and Eric.
Going down I-8 coming from San Diego to Yuma and dealing with the wind and the downgrade is a lot more scarier than going up than what we dealt with. But the winds, we didn't deal with these kind of winds last time.
Thank you, Deborah. I'm
worried
about how, because these camper vans and travel trailers and fifth wheels, they're like sailboats on the road. If the wind catches you and you don't know how to recover out of that, because you saw all the wind warnings, high wind, gusty wind area next 26 miles for the next 26 miles. And then we arrived in Calexico, which is the northern town that borders the huge metropolis of Mexicali down there. And we had to make a decision. There was some confusion. Hello, everybody.
Yep.
There was some confusion about which border crossing was 24 hours because the official website it's kind of screwed up the way that is. So we finally determined, but how much fun can you have when it's gale force winds? You can imagine the dust on the streets down there. Arizona high winds can be tricky, thrown all over the road. I never saw his camper van, the Lisa Marie, pitch so much as it did on that coming around that one curve, and that gust hit me and it hit him, and it was like, woo! It was pretty tough. So Marshall managed to find a local person and kind of talk to him and get some understanding.
We got a little bit of understanding with Mexicali is a huge Mexican city. It is a full service, real Mexican city. In other words, there's colleges there, universities for a lot of the dentists, there's medical doctors. It's a huge, major Mexican city. It's nothing like, say, Algodones or San Luis. It is a huge city. It's spread out. There's multiple ports of entry that have different entry times. This is something that you have to take several hours to get a preliminary idea of what's going on. And I'm kind of tired today of being on the road. Rosie's kind of tired. We had a long day, and it's better just to start fresh tomorrow and get a preliminary layout of the area, and hopefully we can stay, get in on the afternoon and stay a little bit after sunset, and get a little bit of idea and taste of the nightlife and the food scene there. And I don't want to do it by myself. I'd rather just do it with Rosie, and we'll just go ahead and do it tomorrow. And I think it's going to be interesting. I've heard a lot of good things about it, but you can't, like you say, you get the preliminary the first day, and then the second day when you go, it just takes a lot of time. So
I don't know if you guys can see this sign blowing back here. This thing is just, up behind me here. This thing is just like...
They can't see nothing back there, can they?
No, they're just looking at the lights back there, but the right on the Mexican, you're probably looking directly across the Mexican border, right there through the...
I wish you do these hangouts. You wish you could shut that shade.
Through the fence. Well, I don't think anybody's going to dox us on the Mexican side there, but... we got in here, and I sensed that Marsha wanted to go in tonight because it's Saturday night, which I understand.
No, it's not.
I understood that, and but by the time you get changed up and everything, and man, this van is just rock. This is going to be a rocking night tonight. The van's going to be a rocking tonight. Yeah. Thank you. By the time we would get all squared away and find a place to change, then negotiate the border and parking, would probably be 11 p.m. And so Marshall will tell you, hey, that's just when things get rocking on the streets.
So Rosie, don't you think it's kind of interesting that that you have Campo, California, which is actually the closest area to Yuma where you could really go up and an elevation, right, and really
hey JK,
savor the weather if you're living the van life, even if they would charge you to park.
You were in heaven. I was freezing my catooties off.
I was in heaven, but
he loves that 50 to 55 degrees. Wasn't really windy up there.
It was
surprising
a little bit windy,
at the elevation.
Right.
How you doing, Janet? So I wasn't. This wind really caught me off guard because the whole time we've been boondocking across the United States, I don't think we ever encountered wind conditions.
I'm trying. Yeah, I just opened my door and I literally thought that the wind was going to take the door off the hinges of the door. That's how strong it is. I'm telling you, the winds here, Rosie is saying 45 miles an hour. These gusts are easily 50, 60, 65 miles an hour here. These gusts are very strong.
Yeah, all the
you can feel the van.
All the light poles are wobbling and stuff. So so I think we just decided to nix it and hope it's a little better. My feeling is the first time you come into we're experienced with multiple border entries now. And even though we went into San Luis, it was dark. We stayed in a very small area in San Luis, so I didn't feel like we were too far off the reservation. But I think if you go in daytime first, at least you can get a
better idea of what it looks like.
Get you to talk to some people that speak English on the other side, and they can direct you
more,
the places to go. So I feel disappointed for Marshall because it is Saturday night, but the wind conditions are just so hairy out here that you can imagine with all the dust and dirt on the streets of
the
Mexico.
Wind conditions, and also just this ride has been kind of a little bit stressful coming down, and it's just better just to start fresh and go in the daytime and take a look at it. But like I said, I think that whole area, up there in Campo, California, there's a lot of there's Mount Laguna, there's the other Cuca. What is that other mountain up there?
Your van is literally moving. I hope your parking brake is set.
Well, it's rocking back and forth.
That thing's moving forward and backwards. I've never seen it in motion like that before. I don't know. It's pretty weird. Just like, oh, let's see. Just popping in for a few minutes. Hello, Nancy, Space Ace, Murphy. How are you? Murphy's Law. Catch up on. Yeah, I could use a real good night's sleep. I mean, we hit it hard the last couple nights with the nightlife, but I am a bit disappointed it being Saturday night. Marshall talked to a local here. What was his thoughts on Sunday? Did he say anything about that?
Well, I mean, obviously he said Saturday night is probably one of the best nights to go, and he said it's not as vibrant as Tijuana, but there are. Mexicali is like I said, it's a real working city. It's not just they don't rely on Americans for their economy. It's a fully self-sustained economy. It's a major Mexican city. It's a huge city, and well, your van is moving too. I'm
just saying. I feel like I'm in an earthquake right here. You guys can hear the wind. To me, that would have been awful going down the streets tonight in the wind down there.
It literally feels like I'm in a bumper car.
Yeah.
Right now, it literally feels like Rosie's van is going to bump into mine, and it's like we're in a bumper car.
I was wondering if your parking brake was on or whatever. You go sliding through the international border and into Mexico on your rig. Down at the border today, an incident as a camper
Hey, if
van.
you put your van in neutral now, you think this when we push it?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, you better be careful if you. It could possibly push it forward.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It could push it forward.
If you were in neutral.
Yeah. You can feel it wants to go.
Yeah.
Wants to kind of go forward. Yeah, when the van is a rocking. So I think we made the right decision after all tonight. Because it's parking. I mean, right now we're just kind of stuck at right at the border. You can see Mexico behind on the other side. And, where do you park? And the park spots. Right now we're just in a temporary.
Well, there's a lot to
drop-off zone
There's a lot to figure out when you're going to a border town, especially Mexicali is a huge border town. First of all, you got to figure out what's the best deal on parking. Then you have to figure out, well, where's the food at? Where's the nightlife at? And
thank you, Sammy Jacks.
And so it takes time, and I'm exhausted. Rosie exhausted. We've had even though it was
we had it hard for a couple nights, with the night stop. Thank you.
But this ride to come down these mountains is not a joke. It really takes a lot out of you. It is tiring, it's challenging, it's scary, and it takes you. I'm not in the mood to do anything but just chill out and
take it easy.
Looking at these,
maybe a place around here to get just a quick beer. I'm not sure tonight, but. Now the challenge will be where we're going to find a place in Calexico that's, safe to park tonight, having just rolled in at nighttime.
Right.
It's too small of a town for a lot of places, big box stores and things to boondock. And I don't feel like riding, 15 miles back up to El Centro again, which is a bigger city. So. It's been a long time, like I said, since we had wind conditions like this, so I don't know what's going to happen. You had a pretty good signal most of the way until you got past the Acorn. You start going down into canyons,
right?
And they're, as Marshall said, they're no joke. And there's runaway truck ramps, and it's like a 6% grade going down.
Yep.
Yep. Hey, Celeste. Yeah, I'm in the States. I'm just in an extreme wind condition out here now, like I haven't had in the longest time. I don't think marijuana is legal in Mexico. No, I don't think so. I don't think there's anything legal. What's up, Carlos? It's a good question. Is weed legal in Mexico? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know. I just I'm trying to figure out some information about Mexicali here.
Well,
And,
what is it, about 800,000 people? It's a pretty good size.
800,000. I think
Yeah.
they say it's over 1 million, but
Well, I'm still in California, actually, so you have to drive to Yuma to hit Arizona over there. So we're actually still in California. So this will be the last California city. I guess, what is it, Tecate? There's another border crossing there, but I doubt if that one's a 24-hour border crossing. Be really careful catching. Nobody's hooking up with anybody down there. Turn your camera for just a second so we can see the van. No, I'm not going to turn my camera around. Sorry. Cannot do. You can see behind me the trees shaking and all that. So.
Well, it says Mexicali's economy is historically based on agricultural products.
Yeah.
So.
Because I don't want to give any more information about our location here in Calexico. Let's see. It doesn't. Can you hear that wind?
So Rosie, what are okay?
Can you imagine walking the streets over there in these winds?
What are duty-free factories? You know that? What they are?
Factories?
Duty-free
I guess they're
factories.
things that produce some
It says it's in which parts from the United States are imported, assembled, and then returned to the United States as finished products.
Yeah, like Maytag washing
So
machines.
international companies, the Honeywell's down there, GKN Aerospace, Kellogg's, Gulfstream. I don't know if they make planes, Gulfstream, UTC Aerospace.
Sammy, I'm
SunPower.
not going chooching now. If Marshall had really wanted to head over, being as it's Saturday night, yeah, I would have gone along. But the wind is just too crazy. I can't imagine a lot of people being on the streets when it's this windy. And I think we'll find out tomorrow that it's not like Tijuana. It's not the same vibrant streets and things like that. It's more like an industrial working. It's like Toledo is to probably Las Vegas or something like that. It's the way that I would relate to that. No, that's hitting anybody. Are you sitting at? Yes, we're sitting at a California border crossing. You can probably see the green and red of the Mexican flag here. So things are whipping across the border there. So Murphy, come on. Yeah, if Rosie is chooching now, I'd wind up in Cuba, Space Age. I mean, it's been a long time since this reminds me of being up in northwest China, in the Xinjiang region, the Islamic area up there, and how crazy windy it is up in that particular area. You're not blocked, Banksy. You're all unblocked, honey. You're not blocked on here. I unblocked quite a few people while I was waiting for Marshall.
One thing here, Rosie, that Mexicali being like a real city that we're talking about, they have they have huge malls over there.
Whoops! Border Patrol vehicle going off over here.
Now, what's a bath hall?
Bath hall.
I don't know.
What did it say? Read it. Read the sentence. What's the context?
They're just saying they have bath halls. I don't know what is a bath hall.
Probably a place for public bathing.
But okay, they do have a shopping center with a Walmart. What I noticed, a Walmart, a 12-screen movie theater, 2 casinos, a food court, and a large array of stores. So it's a very large, much larger, vibrant city than a lot of people think. And I guess you have to figure out what you're looking for when you go down there.
I think because public baths there's still homes that don't have equipped with full bathrooms, so you probably.
Well, this is interesting for you. This is something you'd like.
I saw the Chinese pagoda.
The La Chinesca. They have a Chinese area there, saying that
they said the best Chinese food in Mexico is in Mexicali.
It says concentration of Chinese residents in Mexico around 5,000 came in 20. Well, it says what about in 2012? 15. So there is a Chinese area there, in Chinatown, right?
Well, they said that's where the best Chinese food is in Mexico.
That would be something you'd like to check out, I think.
Yeah, I'd like to check that out. When was the last time? Today, Janet. I'm going to try to get cleaned up every single day, so not going days. The longest I went with that getting cleaned up was 2 days, so.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, my world. OKC, I appreciate it. So a little bit disappointing, but looks like actually the wind might be dying down a little bit now. You never know.
Well, it looks like a little bit, yeah.
There's just, once that dust, there's people out there plowing the fields with lights on. Did you see the tractors out there in the fields? And they're creating a ton of dust. The whole place smells like cow manure down here. So last time we were Savannah, well, we had such a good rain last night in Pacific Beach that it cleaned up my rig. Howdy, Uber. Mama Bear was hitting on Whiskey OG. I thought she was gone from YouTube. Yeah, the whole town. This is a real agricultural area here, Juice. You smell, or it's on the Mexican side because they'll use human waste to grow crops and things over there. So, which is pathologically dangerous, and it's not allowed in the United States. It's because you can have pathogens pass into plants and all that. Marijuana is still technically illegal in Mexico, but the Mexican Supreme Court decriminalized recreational marijuana. Oh, and no problem about turning the camera. Figure you would arrest that. No, we're actually right at a border area here. I've checked out while Elvis talked. Let's see.
Well, I heard about this place, La Casona. That's supposed to be a gentleman's club down there that a lot of people are talking about.
Hey, Amy.
Trying to figure out where it's at, but
ooh, the gentleman's club. I wonder if it's a fruit they sell. I think so, Juice. I mean, they'll tell you it's strictly controlled for import, the way they'll do that, but it may very well be. I would tend to believe that stuff for export to the United States is grown under conditions that the USDA and would be able to inspect that to make sure. But I think that's why I didn't eat any fruit or anything on the streets of Mexico. I stuck to cooked food. So.
Well, over here, Rosie,
yeah,
by
how's the great Sig doing tonight?
By the Calexico border, and I'm looking at it here. Here's the borders, and one of them is pretty close by. So, one of the
it's just there's so much. It's weird how there's so much misinformation about what time these border crossings open and close. How did you feel about going to the gentleman's club? I felt like being trying to think how I can word this. It's not my first choice, but I understand why a lot of guys enjoy going down there. The place was packed. Am I glad I saw it? Yeah, I paid for one beer and checked it out. It's not really my. It's not really my.
So
scene.
Rosie, something I wanted to touch on. Rosie.
Well, let me just finish.
Oh, sorry.
No problem. I just wanted to answer. So, it's like I am curious about the totality of life in these cities and what's the makeup and composition of like Tijuana in the 4 or 5, about 20 square blocks that comprise the Zona Norte there. And I was glad that I saw them and checked them out. And Marshall was 100% correct. There's clubs for every single taste. There's clubs with guys inside of it, male dancers. There's like a drag bar with singing, and then there's the full-on, like the Hong Kong club is full-on you know, for the guys that really want to come in and have a couple beers and I don't think that kind of club would have hookups on premises or things like that. But if guys wanted to get a lap dance and in there, so in other words, there was something, and there was the dance club, which I found the most fascinating and the most interesting of all, because it reminded me of reading about the old dance hall days, the diamond dance, where you would pay a girl to dance with you and things, and then you could arrange your own things. How did I feel going in? I felt like any curiosity I had was satisfied, and I understood the layout of how it works in Tijuana. So from an informational point of view and from an honest point of view, I'm glad that I checked that out. And Jay says Mexico gets great food. Yeah, sometimes when I need to do escort because no one hires us. So yeah, that's all in the world, not just Mexico. What is past that in the cities? I'm not sure what that means. Would I go again? Would I go again to a club? I would go back to the dance hall club. I wouldn't pay the price at the Hong Kong club for a beer to go in. I mean, I got my own boobs. I got my own hiney. I know what I'm looking at in there. So it's, but I would definitely go to a dance hall place. I thought was pretty cool because I would like to dance. You know, you saw me at the Piranha Club. I'm a pretty good dancer down there. I thought Marshall used to dance too, and then he told me he's not a.
I want to chime in on some things on one thing that I think Rosie would enjoy. Obviously, we all know that Rosie enjoys the beach. We know that as far as we went to the nude beach, and I went completely nude. Rosie just exposed her
I was
topless. And obviously, I think that nude beaches are a good match for Rosie because one thing that she loves to show is her breasts. Now, putting two and two together, I think that, and I was thinking about this right now. It just came to my head.
I don't wake up in the morning and
Rosie does a lot of bikini baking hangouts. Rosie does a lot of space girl hangouts. Rosie's been doing a lot of videos with her bikinis.
Not as many as I used to.
For years. Now the bottom line is, I think Rosie is more. I would consider Rosie an exhibitionist. I would consider Rosie kind of a voyeur. I think Rosie would be
the difference of voyeur is somebody that enjoys looking at other people.
Don't you enjoy looking at other people?
No, I mean, no, not really. I mean,
okay, but you like people to look at you.
Well, I'm just saying, if I'm out and about, I enjoy, doing that. Yeah,
you're definitely.
I don't do things with that thought in mind. It's just the way I am by nature.
Consider you. Wouldn't you say that you're an exhibitionist?
Somewhat. Okay. Yeah, I could.
So I think that a good fit for Rosie would be.
Although the edge is coming off over it.
I think that a good fit for Rosie would be to go to a nudist resort. You don't think so?
I think it'd be a good fit for you, but for me,
I
wouldn't want to be full on naked at a nudist. I don't have that much interest in seeing other people naked, to be honest, because I think the please is in the tease, right?
Right.
Full on nudity doesn't really do anything for me, to be honest. So. And I think a lot of you, weigh in on the side chat. Do you like full nudity, or you like to see a gal in a cute bikini or a cute baby doll nightie or something like that?
I think Rosie prefers a mainstream beach where she's just in her bikini, as opposed to a nude beach, because she won't go nude. And then she just kind of looks out of place. And there's not. I don't think there's many transgender
There you go, Susie.
transgender people who go to nude beaches. I didn't see any while I was there. So
Yeah, there you go, Janet. Janet.
So yeah.
I sent Janet my topless pic.
So hey, if I had boobs and
yeah, there you go, Murphy's Law. I agree.
And I paid as much money for them as Rosie did. Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, even Mr. X
there you go,
says it's all about.
Yeah.
So
all right,
if
so we voted, leave something to the imagination, and that's cool. Now you're the one that said that you'd love to join a nudist club. You know, or a nudist colony.
After I went to a nude beach, it's opened me up. Well, first of all, I like the swinger community. That's first of all. Second of all, I like nude beaches. And third of all, part of that whole genre is the nudist resort. So, again, I don't like things that are mainstream. I'm not a mainstream kind of guy. So, yeah, Rosie wouldn't fit in. Rosie is a mainstream person.
Yeah.
Bikini baking, let me show my boobs, let me show, that I look good for being as old as I am, and let me be part of the mainstream. I'm more not mainstream.
We know.
I'm more liberal.
There's the understatement of the decade of the.
Rosie's more of a conservative. Rosie is more of a conservative because she likes.
Marshall's a freak. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. So no, I'm liberal, and Rosie is in a red area, man. Santa Rosa, I guess. Well, is that a spider?
Yeah.
So
I don't need a spider sharing my quarters with.
Yeah, Rosie is
thank you, Nikki.
Is Santa Rosa Republican voted?
No,
it's not.
No.
It's a blue area.
As blue as it can be.
So
most of NorCal until you get out to the Central Valley, up near Whiskey OG, that starts to be a red area up there. Elbow is scamming, begging bomb. I don't know what. Yeah, I mean, I'm not here to talk about that tonight. So, yeah, find that, get that out of here. So it's me when having a discussion. People fall back. I know people like that, and what I know applies to everyone. I'm not sure, Yosemite, on that. I'm glad you had a good time, Rosie. Yeah, I got another one to put up, another cinematic video coming. I haven't had time yet. I did put up lunch at the Nelson Ristorante down there today, so hopefully tomorrow I have a chance to work on the. I'm like Marshall. I'm all backed up with videos that are that have to be put out. It just takes time to do it. Elbow is plumb crazy on those Mexican T-girls. Actually, there weren't that many. There were some on the street, but there wasn't any hooking up or anything like that. Hey, Greg, how you doing?
First of all,
it was an observational mission. I mean, how are you going to hook up when I'm along?
Yeah,
on the trip. No girl's going to come up to us because
first of all,
cock blocking.
Exactly. First of all, being with Rosie and even Tara at SRO Lounge, and
no girls are going to come
exactly up because they're thinking that so it's a natural cock block. And second of all,
hey Jenny,
I didn't get a chance to stay there late at night to check out the whole thing because Rosie. It's not fair to keep Rosie up late. I mean, she already stayed up till 3 a.m. That this was just a preliminary preview of what it's like, and it's more fun traveling with somebody than by yourself. Bottom line, if you have a traveling person with you,
you can say what you want about Marshall, but if he's not the kind of person to say, "Hey, just hang out here for an hour while I go muck around with this,"
right?
He's not going to do that. I mean, he's definitely more considerate of that to not to leave me out on the street. So that wasn't even. Thank you. That wasn't even within the realm of. Consideration. It's something if you go down by yourself, that's a different story.
So yep, so that's it on that.
So tomorrow we'll be going in and hopefully getting some good background information on Mexicali And then it will be heading into back to Yuma. I think Elvis is Cavalier. I don't think liberal is the right term. Cavalier. Interesting. Look at GQ magazine before you dude up again. Just a preview. Yes, some nights might not be so good down there. Like I'm sure Sunday's not going to be the same as Saturday night in Mexicali for sure. Hello, Star Walker. Yes, he does watch my back. He's not going to dump me out and say, yeah, you just killed time on the street here while I'm in...
Hey, I want to answer RV Deb's Journey. How you doing, RV Deb's Journey? He says he wouldn't get lucky unless he paid for it. Well, bottom line is, and I'll answer that to you, RV
Is
Deb's
RV
Journey.
Deb in here?
Let me tell you
Hey,
something.
Celeste,
let me
see.
tell you the difference here.
Let me
Yeah,
just say,
she's in
let me
there.
just say hi because I missed her in here.
Yeah, she's up there. I see her up
Okay,
there.
there's RV Debs. How you doing, honey?
RV Deb's Journey. First of all, I don't know if you've ever been to Mexico, but bottom line is, if I were to buy a woman a drink in America, all she would do is just end up telling her girlfriends, hey, I got the sucker to buy me a drink. Now, if I buy a woman a drink in Mexico, she's going to sit by me. She's going to talk to me. She's going to give me the companionship and attention that an American woman wouldn't give me. And that's just for any man. Because Mexican women respect men who wine them and dine them. So the bottom line is, that's the difference between Mexican culture and American culture. The feminist movement, like Joy says, the Me Too movement, the women's rights, all this stuff, it's turned this country, it's beyond equal rights right now. Now there's a war between men and women. People are getting divorced all the time. Judges, I just had a friend of mine who's a Christian apologist, and he's got a YouTube channel, and he debates Muslims, and he just got divorced. His wife cheated on him and everything, and
Hey,
the judge gave custody to his wife. She did all that, and she committed adultery. So the court system, the judges, this country has turned so liberal against men that it's a war. It's a war right now in America between men and women. Not only, when it comes to the nightlife, but marriages and men's rights and the divorce and all that. That's why I follow MGTOW, men going their own way. I will never share title with a woman or live with a woman, period. And there's a big movement going on. And the bottom line is, RV Debs, is that right now, I'm sorry to say the truth, but as far as I know, you're alone. You don't have a man. And I hope you find one. But I'll tell you one thing, RV Debs. There's a lot of women waiting in line for the king of the free world and a lot of other great alpha American men. And I just want to say one thing to all you American men out there that are watching in America. Come down to Tijuana. Open bar tab on the king. If you can drink 28 beers of Heineken like my Uncle Simon, I'll have an open bar tab. Come down to Tijuana and I'll show you American men what it's like to have a good time and for once to be respected by women. That's my opinion.
Well, I'm a little different. I think you really miss something in life if you don't ever engage in a long-term relationship and experience the joy of raising kids and seeing them be successful. I think you miss a lot in life. And for that reason, I'm not really a big advocate of the MGTOW. MGTOW to me is people that just couldn't make it in relationships and things like that, and they became embittered because of that. Usually MGTOW people, they come out of divorces and bad and bad breakups. Sorry, I just had a cup of coffee with cream tonight. They come out of bad relationships and it sours them on the whole experience, and it just turns them off to women. So MGTOW to me is men grabbing their own wieners. I mean, that's the bottom line.
MGTOW is not a movement about hating women. It's about protecting men's rights, and it's about giving women equal rights. Now, what do I mean about giving women equal rights? Like Jory was saying. Well, when a woman goes out with a guy, why does a guy have to pay for the date? If women have equal rights, if they're on the same level as we are, if they want to be in the military, if they want to be police officers, if they want to be engineers, mechanics, airline pilots, let's talk about equal rights.
If you go out, do pay. A lot of them do pay.
If you go out on a date with somebody and they're not your wife or whatever,
bitter men.
They're not your. If you're not my wife, why should I pay for your meal? You should go Dutch. You pay for your meal and I'll pay for mine.
I can't think of one. Go Dutch. I agree. There is a little something to that. I was hearing a gal on YouTube talk about it. Why should I pay? When a guy asks me out, he should pay. There's a little bit of that, have your cake and eat it too, I think.
Exactly.
Some traditions, maybe some women want to keep, and other ones that they don't. So to me, you can't be like a cafeteria way of pick and choose off the menu. But I can't think of one person that I know in the MGTOW movement that came to that movement without having a negative relationship experience. And I think Jory was an influence on Marshall too, about preaching the MGTOW sort of blended and went in tandem with Marshall's beliefs about relationships and things like that. So it found a home, it found fertile ground in his mind.
But I've been listening to MGTOW since Tom Likas. He's a famous radio guy from California. The guy's funny. He's very charismatic, Tom Likas. And I've been listening to Tom for years, and he's been divorced many times, and he's a leader of the movement, and everything he says is true. Everything he says is true, And that's the bottom line, so it's it is what it is. There's a war going on in this country, and I want to be a leader in the MGTOW movement and going to Mexico and finding women and going outside of the United States and getting women has been going on for years.
It's a freedom of being freedom of being an American, is that you can do that. And that's one thing I respect about this country, is that people are able to make that choice, but you have to live with the consequences of that. So
if I pay for anything for a Mexican woman, I'm getting my money's out of it. Anyways, your money goes further in Mexico, period. Whether you want to live there, whether you want to get women there, whether you want to eat food there, your American dollar goes further in different countries. We know that. You can go to Thailand and many other places, and that's the bottom line, and that's what American men are doing, Yeah, I mean, if all you know is sex, then you'll never experience, the joys of love in a relationship and things like that. So, yeah, Susie, I like watching DVD too. That's free. All marriage
I want to get something. I'm going to grab a water bottle here.
All marriage is, in my opinion, is a legal contract. It's just a legal contract, and most women will not sign a prenuptial. Most women will not sign a prenuptial agreement before you get married. I think the majority of women that are on here, if your husband makes a lot of money, if he makes, if you make over $100,000, I don't think that majority of American women will not sign a prenuptial agreement. Wow. Now, if your husband is poor, doesn't make that much money, it doesn't make a difference. But
insane weather out there.
But that's the bottom line. So
we all use the same pee jug here. In your house, Janet, I can't answer that question. What do you have to prenup?
So that's the bottom line. We got to protect men. It's a war going on,
I don't know. I think you just heard something that sort of jives with your personal beliefs. It's that's
the truth. It's the truth. We're not.
Look, the only thing I admire about that is you're being honest about it. Okay, you're not hiding, and there's no subterfuge in your relationship with that kind of stuff. I can appreciate that, and I can give you credit for that. But I think the idea is flawed, and I think it's born out of just poor relationships. And honestly, that I don't think men can take responsibility for the failures of them, and maybe in those cases it's true. Maybe their hearts were broken. Maybe they were disappointed, and it just turned them sour on the whole idea of ever. They didn't feel the equality. Maybe when they went to the court and the assets were divided up, maybe they felt like they got screwed out of that situation. It happens. Judges are always going to look more at the woman for custody of the children and things, and that's they scratch their head and say that's there's no equity in that. There's no equality in that.
But the bottom line is that
would you ever sign a prenup for a woman?
RV Debs, the bottom line is this: every woman, including you, can be replaced by millions of women that are in this world. I can go with Rosie to China, and she can show me many Chinese women that would replace you and many American women. We can go to Thailand, Philippines, Colombia, Dominican Republic, Mexico. There's millions of women in this world that will replace American women, that will give men what we want.
Yeah, well,
and
I just think...
And it's all over the world is happening.
Like I said, there was a gal that used to be on my Hangouts, and her trans, and her husband was trans, and they would go over to Thailand and the Philippines and do these sexpeditions and stuff, and it was such a total turn off. To me, there's something about taking advantage of, and I guess you can say that with any prostitution, taking advantage of a woman's sort of economic need for gain. Now, some societies in some countries it's legal. See, Amsterdam, it's legal.
This is the issue with women in the Western world. They want someone who can financially provide for them. And it has nothing to do with looks. It's all about being a financial provider. Now, some men are willing to do that. Some men are willing to be a slave mule and be a financial provider for women. And some men are like me, where they're alpha males. And ever since the beginning of time, back in the old days, men used to have multiple wives. Kings used to have multiple wives. Brothels and prostitution has been going on since the beginning of time, even in the ancient city of Nineveh. So, yes, there are men out there that will take that financial burden, that will be that financial provider for the woman and for a family and to produce children and offspring. There's men that have that drive. And then there's men that are like me, who are that lone lion, that lone wolf. He's not part of a pack. He's just there, and he's scanning the background, and he's going to see that old male lion, and he's going to knock him off his throne and take his wife. And that's what happened, unfortunately, to LCD.
I don't think anybody goes into a marriage expecting
your old lady, brother, I'm going to tell you this much, LCD, your old lady, you took her to the cleaners, but at the end of the day, she got the last laugh, because now she's got the United Kingdom stickers cocktail Oscar Mayer wiener. Woo!
Well, I'm not going to say anything about Dave and Becca.
That's the most entertaining thing going on.
Met them both and spent time with them twice. I just hope both of them.
She got the last laugh, brother.
find happiness in life. Nobody ever has the last laugh.
But look at that's an American.
Yeah,
Look at all these people that are getting divorced. Look at the glamorous life. Look at Dave and Becca. There's a lot of divorce going on in this country, even in the bottom of YouTube. There's a lot of divorce going on, and for different reasons.
Well, I think social media may be at the bottom of a lot of, the
social media has given Becca, she's got a replacement. She's already found a dumped Dave, and she found stickers.
Well,
so it's given her a rebound guy. He's the rebound guy. Stickers is the rebound guy. When a woman dumps a man, she wants to
have you ever been in love? That's a good question. Have you ever been in love?
Yeah, I've been in a relationship.
No, I mean love.
Yes,
not a relationship.
I've been. Yes,
I'm not talking about legs up in the traps, man. I'm talking about a real relationship of flowers and sweet talking. Don't you enjoy that path to the promised land?
This is the problem, though.
Instead of thinking I need those things up on the traps, baby. Get
I
those legs in the air.
I had a live-in black girlfriend on and off for a year, and the bottom line is this: is that she cheated on me. Okay, I took her back.
Well, there's another seed of big towel.
And the bottom line is this: yes. Having the companionship and conversation and love of a wife, girlfriend, etc. is great. But, the old saying, do you want to get up every day and eat Fruit Loop cereal? One day you're going to get up and you're going to want Frosted Flakes. You're going to want Cocoa Pebbles.
You don't look at the other side of this situation, Marshall. You don't look at the common goals.
The bottom line is
that you set, the companionship that you have.
Yeah, the bottom line is this is the truth, and even Steve Harvey said this. There's 4 different kinds of men for women. One of them is a man who satisfies a woman financially. The other type of man is a man who satisfies a woman as being a handyman. The other type of man is a gay man who talks to a woman verbally and is her little buddy. And the 4th kind of man is the mandingo man. The man that can lay down the pipe. So there's 4 different kinds of men to satisfy a woman. A woman cannot be satisfied by just one man. And the bottom line is...
Then I would question if you were really in love, because I think that you fall into lust very easily. But love is a different thing. Love is born from the way that you're raised, and you see in the family that you're raised in, and the relationship between, say, your mother and your father. Those kind of things set the base, I think, for examples of what, because obviously when you're growing up, your mother's not viewed as a sexy figure anymore by your father, but there's some transition that occurs that carries over that bridge. When my father lost my mother after 45 years of marriage, why was my father so upset about that? Why was he so devastated by that? Because he had been so emotionally invested for so many years that it cut a hole in him. And then to have to go through and bury a second wife with cancer too.
The only reason people in the old days, that are older than you, like your father's generation, the only reason they stayed married, because that was a tradition. You didn't divorce your wife back in the old days. Whether it was culture, whether it was religion, whatever it is. Now, divorce is in style. It's in style now. People are getting divorced left and right on the bottom of YouTube. And the bottom line is this, even Jory says,
social media is to blame for a lot of that.
When you live with someone, when you share a space with someone, and when you live with someone, like Jory says, it creates a cancer. It creates conflict. And sooner or later, you're going to get into it with your partner.
So did mine, RV Debs. They had a great relationship.
And RV Debs, you're a widowed woman. You're available. You've been on the market for years, and I've seen you. You're pretty much all alone down there in Texas in that travel trailer with your awning and everything. And the bottom line is, it's been years and you haven't found anybody. And I have to ask you a question. As an American woman, as a fellow RVer nomad, well, where's the man? How come you haven't found anyone in, what, 2, 3 years now? It's been since, God rest your
Well, I
husband's
think there
soul.
was a
That
grieving
you,
process that
but
went
now
on.
you're over that now.
There was
So,
if I can answer for Deb, there was a grieving process.
right,
There was a need to find stability in your place in what the world's going to be going forward.
right.
Three, become secure in yourself and start rediscovering your joys in life, which she's done.
Yeah.
And I think she's at the stage now where she's looking good.
She's
And
looking
where
for
I
somebody.
think,
She said in
yeah, I
her,
mean,
she said in
that's
her
what
own
I'm
videos,
saying.
I'm looking to date somebody.
So
And
Godspeed and good luck.
yeah,
Good luck to her. Yeah.
but she hasn't found anybody as far as I know, and maybe you got
Well,
to move out of that little town in Texas, and
maybe so, but I'm
but
saying that'll be her call.
but the
So
bottom line is there's a lot of women like Debs, and let me tell you something, Debs. There are some women in Tijuana that were in their 40s, maybe even in their 50s, and they make American, and I'm just sorry to say this, but they make American women look like they were slobs. There are some fine
well,
women.
remember, Marshall, they're doing business.
Exactly.
The people in Wall Street look
Now
like
what?
slobs? No, because they're doing business. She's plying a trade. She's a franchise, right?
Right.
She's got to look good.
The one thing, though, that I will say this, there's a lot of American women that are into religion. And I've dealt with those, and you can't have a relationship with them. You can't deal with a woman who's ultra religious. Then there's American women that are too close to their family. Then there's American women where they have baggage and kids and they want a financial provider, etc. On and on and on and on and on. And then, the women that have drinking problems and smoking problems and drug problems, and then the mental problem. A lot of American women have mental problems. So why would you want to deal with all that and chase women at these bars and buy them drinks, and they'll use you and abuse you and laugh at you with their friends?
How about
And
the men that are slobs? How about the men that come home and put their feet up on the coffee table?
they deserve it. They had a
And
hard days at
expect.
work.
You many women are working out there these days that come home and still encounter a slob at home that won't do anything, have that sense of entitlement that they need to be taken care of since they're the male. Do you know how many women are supporting households these
Well,
days and have a slob that they still take care of and love at home in sickness and in health?
there's two
for richer, for
directions.
poor.
There's two directions for a
I'm
woman.
just saying,
There's
it's a two-way street.
there's
You're
two.
focused on the women's side,
Yeah, there's
but I
two.
can tell you how many slobs I met that were guys that kind
There,
of drove me towards wanting to have a relationship with a woman,
yeah,
because they bring more of the values that I enjoy these days. Although my male friends are outstanding here on YouTube, we gather around us the people that sort of share
yeah.
when it comes to love our
There's women
thing.
have three directions in America. Either you get lucky and you find a workhorse mule to take care of you, in other words, a financial provider. Those are the ones that get lucky and look good. The number two is if you just live off the welfare system, like many women do. That's the number two choice. And the number three choice that a lot of women are doing, they get divorced and they're single mothers and they're pounding the pavement every day, going to work and working as a single mother and then extracting child support from the man. So there's three different ways you can go. The bottom line is, I don't want to deal with any of those three types of women. I don't have to. I can go to Mexico and be away from all that. And that's my advice to every American man. Don't date American women. Stop going to the nightclubs.
How you doing,
Stop
Amy?
going to church. It's just a waste of time. You can go, there's many countries in this world that women cater to the men, and Mexico is one of them, and it's our closest neighbor. So all you Canadian men out there and all you American men out there, that's just my opinion to you guys. Stop wasting your time with these westernized women in Canada and America. I don't hate westernized
Marshall,
women,
how
but that's
many
just
men? To me, one of the challenges and one of the joys of being a man is you have to think outside of your own. You should traditionally think outside of your own wants and desires and rise above your animal nature. That's what I think when girls grow up and they see their father as as an example of what they hope that they'll have one day. Somebody that's not selfish, somebody that doesn't feel the need to, say, run south of the border to get laid or something like that. You're still young. I mean, you still have the vibrancy, the drive, but one day that'll be gone, and you might see life a little different at that point. To me, what makes a male great is exactly that, the selflessness, the non-complaining nature in a relationship. To be a mule. I mean, I was a mule for 46 years, paying bills, college bills, and all that kind of stuff. Do I feel bad about it? Do I feel like I got cheated? No. To me, I never thought that way about my dad when he didn't make a hell of a lot, but he got up and worked and things like that. So to me, there's a certain heroic aspect to being the traditional male, the strong.
Let me tell you,
the strong person that doesn't weep, that can put aside his personal, drives and things for a relationship.
You know who I look up to? My great-grandfather, Camus. This man, they said, lived till over 110, almost 115 years old, okay? He wasn't a very tall man. He was a small man in stature. He had one wife. She died. He went into an Assyrian village, and I've showed his picture before, and he married the most beautiful Assyrian woman in that village that was tall and beautiful, and took her hand.
Greg, I'm not here to...
And
Greg Travels, I enjoy you. You're a nice guy. I'm not here to doctor up his speech or have him be anything except intellectually honest. Why? For this reason alone. The path that Marshall has chosen will either have a payoff one day or it will be a path of regret. But only time will tell that. My thought is there will be a day when he kind of rues the fact that he didn't have that longer term relationship. Will he be able to have it? The jury's... I don't know. I don't know what the future holds for him. But I can't tell another person how to think or how to talk. All I can do is just engage them in conversation and just have a little chit chat. So I cannot mold. He's baked in the cake at age 37. You're pretty much baked in the cake. It's been MGTOW'd. Do I think it's a mistake? Of course I do. I think MGTOW is a mistake.
When you look at women my age, in their 30s, mid to upper 30s, these are women who are mostly divorced. They've got I've
not yoked myself to anybody, Yosemite. I'm enjoying my travels. Okay? I've done my thing. I'm not responsible for the choices that he makes. They've got 3-4 kids. I got very limited years left. I'm not here to raise another son here. Okay?
Most women that are my age in America are divorced. They've got 2 to 4 kids, if not even more, to deal with. They've got bills. They're living with dogs in their homes, unsanitary. They got so much BS to deal with that it would be, I wouldn't even...
Illuminati ghost, you've never even showed up here before, later.
Yeah.
So I don't
All I'm saying is that...
stupid trolling.
It's the westernized idea that we have is that
I don't take responsibility for other people.
Yeah.
Okay.
You
succeed or fail by the choices that you make in life.
Yeah.
As he will, succeed or fail. Have a happy life or a lousy life.
I think that I'm happy. I think that the decisions I'm making, a lot of men are making them in this world, and it is what it is, It is what it is. And I hope people can just, who agree with me, can just take my advice and listen to what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think it's fun to travel.
I don't think so, Sugar. You'd like to think I am, but my time on YouTube tells me otherwise on here. Okay.
I'm very happy with the way my channel's gone since January of this year. No regrets at all. And I'm happy with the traveling.
So,
I have a good time because
Rosie,
the only time I ever engage in these type of discussions is when I'm sitting here chatting with you guys. Do I think that Marshall will have some regrets in life? Of course. I think we all do in life. But he will be the one that bears the price or the glory of how things work out. I haven't co-signed anything, Yosemite Spirit. I'm an independent person. I'm not dependent on anybody. I don't buy into. Talk to Tucker about the cosign thing. See if he agrees with that. Okay.
Let me ask you this,
I don't
Rosie.
buy the cosign BS. Okay, he's an individual person.
You're an advocate for marriage, right? You're a
cosign. Are you kidding me?
You're an advocate for marriage, right?
Yeah, I think it's a great thing.
You're an advocate for a person getting married and having kids and having a family. Okay.
If they're equipped to do that, of course
if they're equipped to do that.
Hey, Laura.
If you ask the majority of your audience, and a lot of your audience, they're mostly women, let's face it. Most of your audience is women from the drama community. Probably 80%.
Yeah, I'm my own person. I'm not.
How many of these women that watch you are divorced? I would say the majority of them are divorced and widowed, as opposed to married. A large. So
of who? Oh, on YouTube, you mean?
Yeah, I'm saying the majority
because they're drawn to this platform for a need for friendship and,
exactly.
Yeah.
So in other words,
I can't judge by what I see on here that society as a whole mirrors that success or failure. Okay, this is a place for people that like, to see people on the daily come in. It does fill a need. It does fill a need for those people, and I appreciate it for that. But I'm not going to draw conclusions about society as a whole on here.
So if the
RV Deb, she came in because she had YouTube. So she was interested in learning about the RV life.
So this is a question.
She found friendship.
So this is a question that I have for all of Rosie's fans, all the women, from RV Deb's journey to all of them. If you're divorced and widowed, and if you guys are a big fan of Rosie O'Kelly, and you follow her, and Rosie is an advocate for marriage, for a relationship, for children, for family, why don't you find a partner and get remarried?
Because I feel like I've had my turn at the wheel, and at my age, I don't.
No, I'm not saying you. I'm saying your audience. I'm not saying you.
I don't know who you're.
I'm just saying in the audience in general. Every woman out there that's divorced and widowed right now, if you're a fan of Rosie and you believe what she says, she's an advocate for marriage and kids and family and a marriage and raising a family. Why don't you get remarried? And that's a question for RV Debs and everybody else.
It's easier said than done, to get remarried. A lot of times we're set in our ways, and we have higher hurdles that people have to meet for that.
Right.
And I think companionship starts to hold a higher.
Why wouldn't you get remarried, Rosie? That question's for you too.
Because I ran my race. That's why.
Right.
I feel like I put it all out and did the best that I could.
Right.
I'm here for companionship and meeting people, as many people as possible. And if something evolves out of that, that's fine.
So you would never get remarried?
I don't think I would ever get remarried. No.
Would you advise people that have been divorced to get remarried? What about all your fans?
I would advise people that are divorced, think seriously and objectively about what caused it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then decide how you want to proceed down that path, if you want to do it again or you don't want to do it again, okay? But was there a lesson to be learned from it? Was there cheating involved? Was there something else that, examine what went wrong in the relationship?
Right.
For me, I think, one time was a plenty, and I just feel like meeting people now and having the companionship and fun is the great part of living my life at this point. Right now, advice to do what makes one happy. Simple, exactly. I'm a strong woman. I don't need a man. I agree with that too, Colleen. A lot of women aren't looking for. They're not looking for men.
No.
They don't feel they don't feel like a man adds anything at the margin to their life. Now you have to accept that there's a lot of women that are out there.
I'll give you my
independence has allowed these women to reach that point, whereas maybe 50 years ago, the automatic default was find another man and get remarried. Nowadays, that's not so much the default. So many women now have the financial ability to set up their lives exactly how they want and fill their time with exactly doing the things that they want to do. And a lot of times, whether guys like it or not, women, some measure of women will see them as not important to getting the full joy out of life. Now that idea might grind on some men, and it may hurt their egos. How could they possibly not want us in their lives? I mean, I see a lot of women that are divorced, widowed, that are living their best lives without a man.
I want to chime in here.
You tend to think that men are the like Pennsylvania, the Keystone State that sits on top of the arch and holds the whole thing.
Let me chime in here real quick. The last relationship I had, I met my ex-girlfriend at Verizon Wireless when I worked as a security guard there. I was making not even $10 an hour. She worked there for Verizon. She worked for the real estate department where they handle Verizon's put these cell phone towers on different properties, and she worked in the real estate department and made sure that Verizon was paying these people to so Verizon could put the cell phone towers. Anyway, she made over $20 an hour. She was a BBW, 41 years old, Lutheran German, never had any kids. She was married to a police officer. And they divorced, and she hadn't been with a man in over 10 years, whatever, right? And anyways, we hooked up, we hit it off. I was at her place 5 days a week. She would buy me food. She even bought me a wrestling pay-per-view. I would stay there all day, and it was great. It was great. It lasted for a while, and then I realized that she was bipolar. I realized she was brainwashed by religion. I realized that she was mind controlled by her family, and then what I realized at the end, that she was addicted to sex toys, like many women are, and bottom line is this: is that women in America right now. Just like I see American women, I can replace them with any woman in Mexico or any other place that I go where women cater to men, Thailand, Dominican Republic, whatever. But women have found out a way to replace us men. How do they replace us? How do they replace family and children? How do you women do that? By having pets, cats and dogs. You think that's your children because you don't want to have children.
Let's look at Mexico for a minute. Yes, people do need something to bestow love upon. Pets are great. Okay?
Right.
Pets don't put their feet up on the coffee table and drop their underwear on the floor. Let's look at these. Let's look at these gals in Mexico that you hold in such high esteem.
Right.
Number one, in my opinion, you're only seeing a cross section of women that, for financial reasons, have to play that subservient role. Do you think, Marshall, and here's the question I want you to answer. Let's suppose one of those streetwalkers was to win $100,000 in a Mexican lottery. Would she be doing the same thing, and would she treat men differently in life if she came upon some money and suddenly could live like a queen? Do you think that she would feel like she has to be subservient to a man now? Do you think she does that job just for the pure joy of it, or for the financial aspects of surviving?
There's no difference between a woman who is in the adult entertainment industry, that is a worker, a provider in Mexico. There's no difference between her and an American woman who's married. There's no difference. They both want a financial provider. The only difference between American women and women in Mexico, the women in Mexico are looking for a short-term financial provider, and the women in America have set the standard and bar is so high that if you're not a full-time financial provider, nothing's going to happen. That's the difference.
You didn't answer the question.
That's the answer.
So I'll answer it for you. Those women would drop that stuff in a heartbeat, okay? And they would set out to find true love and somebody that really valued them as the person that they are. In my opinion, women's equality in the United States is a thorn in your side, because reason being, with financial independence comes the ability of women not to play that subservient role to men. Now, you happen to be in a transition period where everything changed after the 1950s. We're upsetting gender models that have been in place for thousands of years of evolution. Of course there's going to be some pain. Of course there's going to be, well, what's my role as a male now? There's a lot of confusion. Some guys can't cope with the fact that women are financially successful. It grates on their ego that the women are provided. But the fact is, more and more women today are being the principal breadwinners for their families. There's more women in professional schools, law and medical school today than men.
I wanted to just finish I wanted to chime in here. When I was talking about women in America and what we're dealing with here, women.
What you're saying, you're comparing you're putting the 50s of Mexico with the 2019 of America, and of course that appeals to you. That
women,
love you long time school of male.
I've worked in the security industry over 15 years. I had women that were over me as supervisors, and I had a woman that was my branch manager for a security company. I was being accused by 3 women at my security company of sugaring a tank of a woman coworker. When the evidence came out that none of that happened, my woman boss apologized to me and hugged me. Now, this is what I've noticed about women in the workforce. They get emotional. Women get emotional. And when they're wrong, they'll admit they're wrong. And the problem is this: when you put somebody in an authority position, you can't reason with emotion. You have to reason with facts. You have to reason.
To me, that's another thing, Marshall, that contributed to your MGTOW mentality, is because of the bad experiences you had with your female bosses, both at the telemarketing place and the security.
And I'll give you an example is that there's a lot of racism in the workplace. There's a lot of gender, a lot of gender bias stuff going on in the workplace, and there's a war in America. It's a racist war. It's a gender war. We're dealing with it every day in the workplace. We're dealing with it every day in the real world. And the bottom line is, and I've seen this time and time again, as a customer at stores, when I'm dealing with a manager that's a woman, when I'm dealing with a worker that's a woman in a retail environment, in a store, I can tell they get emotional and they snap like that. I can make any woman snap like that. And the thing is this: women are more emotional than men, and they can mentally snap. And when they mentally snap, there's no return. And that's what separates men and women. Men, we can take a lot more pressure. And that's what I've seen a lot, in my opinion, in the workplace and in the world. So,
you know what my answer to that would be?
And there are certain jobs.
I hear what you're saying. Women have only really in the last 50 years evolved into these roles.
Exactly.
Men have been able to do this for centuries in the workplace and understand maybe the give and take of
Right.
yeah. And to me, it's all a learning process because evolutionarily the rise of women has happened on a timeline in an extremely short period of time. It's an almost straight up learning curve in a male dominated world. And sometimes women perceive their role to fulfill company policy to the letter of, to be as thorough and precise as possible. Whereas I've noticed that men tend to sort of blur the lines of taking their job and how to relate to people.
Let me just give you an example. I can be into...
In other words, it takes time to evolve and teach the next generation about how you do...
Let me give you a simple example. I can go into the Walmart Supercenter and want to return a battery. And I can get into it so bad with a woman clerk that she'll get to the point where she's having that I can get her to have an emotional breakdown. Literally an emotional breakdown over returning a battery. Something that simple. And then who's at the end of the process that smooths everything out? It's usually a male Caucasian manager. Usually.
I could care less about Coach.
The workforce,
intellectual dimwit.
The workforce in America is dominated by white males. It's a fact. Everybody knows this. And the bottom line is that I've had this happen many times where women in the retail environment, just returning a battery at Walmart, they can get argumentative. They can, and then they literally have an emotional breakdown. Literally an emotional breakdown. And so you can't have somebody in an authority position that has that sort of mentality. You can't.
You're bucking a system.
And that's what I've noticed is that men, we're mentally strong.
Hello, Hop Frog.
We're very mentally strong. And it's a whole different...
Perhaps this is when you have these encounters with, as somebody mentioned, when you get the royal boot because you want to, confront authority when, and tell them their job instead of telling you. Is there any truth to that?
Well, the problem, this is the thing now. I've dealt with women managers and even men managers when you put somebody in a position of authority, it gets to their head. Now, let's see the difference here. A man and a woman. Think about it for a second. How many of you can say that you've had a bad experience, more bad experience with a woman manager, a woman police officer, as opposed to a man? That's a good question for everybody to figure out.
Let people answer.
Who abuses their authority more, and where have people had more bad experiences when you put somebody in a position of authority? A woman police officer, a woman manager, And I'm not saying that all women are bad, but there's good and bad in everything. But what I am saying is, from what I have experienced, women can break down emotionally really fast. And something triggers them. And when they get triggered, they get triggered. And you can't put somebody in a position of authority. For example, the woman at Dunkin' Donuts, she went above and beyond her job when she started talking to the trolls on the phone and showing my fellow Assyrian people troll videos about me on YouTube in an attempt to slander and defame my character, a really famous guy, a public figure, to my Assyrian people. She went above and beyond
I agree with that.
Her job description. Her job was to just tell me to turn the phone off. If she doesn't want me there, trespass me. But she went above and beyond that. And she was using her authority to try to attack me. And I've never had a male manager do that, ever. So that's an example of the abuse of authority. And that's very dangerous when you put somebody in that position.
Thank you very much, Jay. I appreciate it.
And that's what happened in Dunkin' Donuts. So,
I guess we'll have different viewpoints on, we're only products of our experience in life. And I can tell a lot of your feelings about women come from jobs that you've had in your past and relationships that you've had with your bosses. I'm sorry for that, but I cannot draw generalizations. I've had women bosses before in the past and things, and some of them have been very, very kind to me and very nice to me. So I don't know. I mean, everybody's different, Marshall. We're all products of their environment and their upbringing. So
I prefer in the security industry, I prefer if somebody's going to be my manager, I prefer for them to be law enforcement or ex-military. They have a lot more respect and structure than somebody who's not. And I prefer to work with somebody who's has the credentials to have authority, and whatever those credentials are. But
I could care less about Coates. Isn't even on my radar screen. Okay.
But the bottom line is there's a war.
Misinformed nitwit. I could care less.
There's a war between men and women, and if you don't believe that, it's the truth. There's a war between men and women in this country now. It's a war, and it's going on every day. And majority of your audience in the drama community, these women are divorced and widowed. They're not married. Their marriage isn't intact. That's why they're on here tonight. And maybe they're following a new movement, women going their own way. Yeah. And like I was saying, I wanted to say this. Now I forgot.
There you go, Colleen.
Let me just please say this.
Women going their own way.
Let me just please say this so I don't forget. Women.
That's the best thing you've said tonight. Women going their own way.
Women in America have devised a way to go against what you're saying. Go against having a husband, children, and raising a family. They replace children with having pets, with having a dog or cats. They'd rather raise dog or cats and sleep with dog and cats in their beds and in their mattresses and at their couches at home. And that they'd rather have that than raise grandchildren or have their own children. They don't want to have children anymore. That's number one. Number two, they replace men with sex toys, with vibrators and dildos. Women are buying those. That's the truth. That's number two. Number three, a lot of women who go into menopause, and I was talking to Wicked Widow the other day, when women get into the menopause, they start cutting their hair short and turning into a butch tomboy, and they lose their estrogen hormones to even have a sex drive.
Flippers, baby.
And they don't take the right hormones, estrogen, like Rosie does, to keep their femininity and to keep their sex drive going, and they turn into being asexual. So you got those kind of women. And then you got the kind of women that are into religion, and that's a whole other thing. So women have found and devised a way to go against exactly what you're saying. Having, producing children, offspring, raising a family, and taking care of a family and taking care of their man.
Well,
they're actually going against your conservative belief.
I mean,
the majority of them.
I've asked you, do you ever want to have children in the future? And you said, no, you don't want to have it.
Right.
You don't want to have them. So Can you look down on a woman that decides to make the same choice if she doesn't want children either?
Yeah, majority of your audience agrees.
I can't degrade her for that. Yeah. I can say she exercised the women going their own way prerogative, and it's just I don't perceive a war out there. I really don't.
There's a big war. Yep.
I just think you meet the right person, and they're going to totally flip your world around, and you'll see things different. In other words, the things that you admire about the MGTOW movement, you have to also admire in the way that women stand up and be counted these days. It's women going their own way and men going their own way, and you have to negotiate that frontier between the two, Marshall, and it's not comfortable.
The reality, the majority of
you want that sort of 1950s life, and it's not coming back again.
The majority of your audience is actually against what you say. The majority.
I don't believe that.
I'd like to take a poll. How many women are married in this chat? Please press 77. How many of you are married? How many of you are divorced or widow? Press 69.
Yeah, I think
the majority of them.
Your own head.
Laura's widowed.
Yeah, but I agree with her. It's in your own head that a war is going on.
There is
my opinion. I don't see the war. Okay, when you find the right person, whomever it is, I think that will fulfill something in your life that will change the way you feel about
There's very
things.
few women that are married. If you're married and watch Rosie Press 69, there's very, very few women that are married that watch Rosie. Very few.
He's not taking over my chat, Lucy Lou. You don't have to come in here and troll me. I've had a very even chat that a lot of people have enjoyed hearing tonight. Okay, hence they're here watching. So you're not going to flip things around. If anything, I've stood up for the things that I believe in, and you know, there's nothing that's changed in Marshall's outlook since I've known him since 2015. If anything, his beliefs are stronger. Good morning, Dawn Egan. Nice to see you. So, you know, if people don't like the chat, if they don't like a little back and forth, then they can go, you know, enjoy Netflix or something like that. So I enjoy getting into these conversations with Marshall. I enjoy having my say. I know he's set in his ways, but there are certain things that I will stand up for. And okay, like you're in. Oh, thank you, James Dean. But he has an opinion, and he doesn't shape it for YouTube. So, you know, doesn't put things out there for public consumption for people to take, you know, doesn't sugarcoat his own thinking. And for that,
No, I'm a straight shooter.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I'm not a goody two shoes. I don't care.
Would you rather him try to toe the line and get married and try to have the equality and then blow a marriage apart? Or just understand that he's not going to find a suitable mate and just go his own way? I mean, is it you know, is it better for him to live a false life, or is it better for him to just stay out of the marriage pool and go his own way and do his own thing? For me, it's better to recognize who you are and just go your own way, and don't enter into something that you know you can't honor over time. So I think that's kind of the point. Let's see. Enjoy the ride. Random Trucker, nice to see you, my friend. Very nice to see you. I haven't seen you in a hot minute. Yeah, he's better off being single, in my opinion. So why would I want to shape and try to influence somebody when I know that their thinking is set in stone, and it's probably doing somebody else a favor in life?
I'm here to educate men. I'm here to educate men and just show men in the Western world that there's an alternative to Western women. And Mexico is, if you're in Canada or the United States, you need to be going to Mexico, bottom line. And I'm going to keep on pushing Mexico every day and talking about it, and I want to be a leader in this movement.
No, BK, you just talk nonsense. I've seen some of your comments. I'm not triggered at all. I stand my own ground in my own chat, and I do things my own way. If you can't take a little back and forth and a little diversity of opinion, no matter how wrong-headed I feel like it is, well, you know, this is not the place for you to be.
And you know what my goal of a streaming house is, Rosie? My goal of a streaming house is not to get 20 drama women together. My goal of a streaming house is to get 20 alpha males in America together, whether you're widowed, whether you're divorced, whether you just got out of a bad relationship, get together, come to Tijuana, and get together and have the time of your lives. Starting with Tijuana, then we go down to Dominican Republic, Thailand, Philippines, the whole world. I want to get alpha males together. I want to get the men going their own way, movement together, and to show everybody there's an alternative. And that's what I want to do, and that's my dream of a streaming house, to get a whole bunch of alpha males together.
Sounds like a fraternity house, huh?
And go out there and enjoy life and enjoy the world.
No, I'm not blocking Yosemite. She intelligently states her opinion and doesn't feel the need to.
I want to show all these women in America and Canada we have an alternative, and we're going to have a good time, and we're alpha males, and there's an alternative, just like there's an alternative for you guys to take care of pets and replace those for grandkids and children and replace us with sex toys. We got a replacement for you too. you know, and that's international travel. That's going to Mexico and a lot of other countries, and I'm going to keep on pushing this movement. And whoever wants to follow me can follow me, and I know there's going to be a lot of alpha males that are going to follow me. And
I think there are a certain percentage of men that feel the way you do, because it's, and I think maybe coming out of your cultural background affects where it was you still see very traditional men and women roles in the Middle East, and you take that into a second generation American like you are, you know, born of parents that came from overseas or whatever. I don't know whether your grandparents did or your dad did, but it definitely had a strong influence, I think, in how you see the way things are in America versus the values that you saw growing up.
Yeah.
Thank you forever, friend. I think it's all part of it. Anyway, it's been a very interesting night tonight. To me, there was really nothing new that I hadn't heard from Marshall before. But like I say, he doesn't sugarcoat things. He speaks his mind if there's any benefit to it. And also, since you know the way you are, you're not one of those people, like I said, that's tempted to, well, I'll just get into a relationship because it's the right thing that society says that I should do. And then you fail at it, and then you have a mess on your hands. So it's better that you go your own way and stay out of that.
And I just want to say this: the difference between me and a lot of other YouTubers and nomads is a lot of people are fake on YouTube. People know that I'm honest, that I'm genuine, and I'm a straight shooter, and I don't sugarcoat anything. I'm not Mr. Goody Two Shoes and try to get people to like me and kiss people's asses. I am who I am. Take it or leave it. And I'm raw, and I'm uncut, and I'm unfiltered, and I say it the way it is. And either you like me or you don't like me, but I'm glad I can just live my life and be who I want to be, and do what I want to do. And I encourage every YouTuber to do that. And there have been a lot of YouTubers that didn't want to meet me, didn't want to be on camera with me, because they just think that I'm not mainstream, I'm too controversial, I'm too far left field or right field, whatever. But one thing is, I want to tell you people, be true to yourself, live your life the way you want to live, and you don't have to be mainstream and be fake and be goody two-shoes and get people to like you for who you're not. Get people to like you for who you really are. And I want people to like me for who I really am and what I believe in.
Hey, Patricia.
And that's the bottom line and that's the difference between me and a lot of other fake YouTubers out there that put on a facade for you. I'm a straight shooter, and I say it the way it is. And you have to like me the way I am, or just move on. And that's just my message. Just be yourself, and don't be fake. Be yourself, and the people who really like you will really like you for who you really are. And if they don't like you for who you really are, then they didn't like you in the first place anyway. So that's my opinion.
My YouTube views have never been higher. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for being along tonight. Another very interesting chat here tonight. Tomorrow, get ready. Mexicali tomorrow, the whole experience. I can't wait to get down there and check out the final border town. Well, unless you count Calexico, unless you count Tecate for things. So,
well, there's Rocky
I'm looking forward to that. Thank you, everybody, for being in tonight. I appreciate it. We will see you on the morning. Women going their own way. All right, everybody. Thank you.